What if I told you the missing piece to helping your ADHD kiddo with executive functioning skills is, drumroll please, knowing which of the 11 executive functioning skills you should work on? Which ones do they need to improve? I'm going to break it down for you, and once you get to it, it shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes to figure out which is the area that you should really focus on to help boost their executive functioning skills. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through 3 case studies, let's call them, of the most typical scenarios that I've seen in all my years helping families with executive functioning skills. Then what I want you to do is take your own child and see if they match into one of the case studies. And if not, put on your executive functioning glasses and see which of the skills is the ones that your kiddo needs to focus on. Case study number 1. This is my avid reader. They're in about 3rd grade, 4th grade, should be able to get through the morning routine. However, when it's time to get out the door, mom often finds this kiddo still maybe in their PJs. Maybe they're just reading a book. Maybe they've got their PJs on, but they've got their school stuff ready to go. Basically, what's happening is that this kiddo cannot follow the morning routine without constant supervision. If this sounds like your kiddo at home, they could be struggling with the skill of working memory. They could also be struggling with the skill of focus and attention. They could also be struggling with the skill of being able to concentrate on their end goals, right? So this case study is basically the child who struggles with remembering what to do. They may not be able to remember math facts, right? They may not be able to remember all of the steps of the things they have to do. They may remember to do the thing, but then they forget to maybe put it in the right place or put it away, or worst of all, turn it in. Case study number 2. Let's just say this is a little girl. She gets very good grades. She's a very good student. However, what we don't see when we see her final grades is we don't see what's going on behind the scenes. The struggles with getting started, right? A lot of times the homework assignment that takes all the other kids maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it might take her a solid 45 minutes because she has to get the right pencils. She has to have her 3 glasses of water. Then when she sits down, she starts playing with an eraser. So yes, we are functioning. And if we're just looking at, one part of the equation, we see, oh, this young lady gets great grades. She's probably got, all her executive functioning skills in a row. What we don't see is behind the scenes, this is causing a lot of stress at home because parents are constantly having to step in and encourage her and make sure she gets things started. Sometimes it's that things are not the right way, not in the right order, or there may have been a change in the after school routine, right? Case study number 1 couldn't follow routine, couldn't care less about the routine. This case study, they really lean into their routine, and if things change, it becomes a real struggle. So we could be looking here at the skill of struggling with being flexible, and we could also be looking at task initiation. It's not that task initiation is the most common executive functioning skills that kids struggle with, but I do see it when parents like you are looking for support. Task initiation shows up in a lot of school struggles, and usually school struggles at school and at home because it usually pops in when homework is involved or when they have to do something. So the parents are seeing, whoa, it's taking 45 minutes to get this done when it's 10 spelling words. So this might sound like your kiddo at home, so having to have certain things in a certain way in order to get things done. They really don't like changing in the schedules. They don't like changes in the routines. They don't like surprises. Might be flexibility. If we can't get started and finish things, it might be task initiation. Let's see, case study number 3. Here is where we might have a friend who's very creative, who has maybe different hobbies. However, this case study is all about emotional control. Emotional control can really hijack our ability to get anything done. It definitely hijacks your ability to be ready for learning. I see emotional control is where kids either overreact to something that's going on, and sometimes we see it as they underreact. So it could be a full-fledged meltdown, and it could also be a full-fledged shutdown. Basically, what's happening with kids that are struggling with emotional regulation is their brains are telling them they are in fight or flight. So this is plain old neurology. Remember, executive functioning skills are brain-based skills. So this might look like the child that keeps it all together at school, but when they come home, they've been working so hard, they just lash out at their parents, siblings, whoever's at home. This might also be the child that, is really struggling, but they just are like, I'm done, I'm quitting, I can't do any more here. So that's when you see the shutdown, which looks like they don't care, they're being defiant, but really if we looked a little bit deeper, it might be that emotional control piece that's really interfering. And emotional control is 100% an executive functioning skill. And like I said, it really impacts everything. So here's what I want you to do now. Take a minute, think of your child, and think of these 3 different case studies where we went over quite a few different executive functioning skills. Does your child fit into any of these case study scenarios? This will give you a clue as to what area they're struggling in and give you answers as to what area you can help them with. Remember, there are 11 executive functioning skills. We went over a couple of the main ones. If you want to dig a little deeper into the 11 executive functioning skills, my next video is going to do just that, where I'm going to dive deep into the executive functioning guide, which you can also grab in the link description below. If your child fits in any of these case studies, we covered most of the main executive functioning skills, but remember, there's actually 11 executive functioning skills. So once you figure out which area of executive functioning your kiddo is struggling with, then you really want to figure out and pinpoint what activities you can do at home so you can support these executive functioning skills. And my next video dives deep into what we can do at home to support executive functioning skills.